Welcome to the Making Moves with Mao podcast. In every episode, you'll hear stories from individuals just like you that are trying to make an impact. They'll share their unique journey and some helpful tips that got them to where they are now. You'll hear conversations with people from all walks of life who are trying to make some moves. Now, here's your host, Mao.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Making Moves with Mao. Today I am excited here with my guest, Halee Raff with Hardbittenn. This is her own company that she started two years ago, right? 2.5 years ago. And she's seen some tremendous success. So I'm excited to chat with her and kind of dive into her story and her journey and how she got to where she is now. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
So I know we talked a little bit off air here, but you mentioned, you went to culinary school in Rhode Island out of all places. What made you decide to go there? Like, I feel like it's so random.
Well, it is the second best culinary school in the United States.
No shit.
And I didn't want to go to the first one because...
Which is the first?
The first is Culinary Institute of America.
Where's that?
CIA, there's one in New York, one in Napa.
Okay.
And it sounded great, but it was a little too serious for me.
Okay.
And I wanted a less serious college life. So Johnson Wales was a really good stepstone to that. And I just wanted to say that I would be successful, even though I went to the second best culinary school in the world.
That's amazing.
In the United States. And I just went there, did a 4-year program. The school was great. I learned a lot. I didn't learn a lot. There was, ups and downs.
Ups and downs, like everything, yeah. Did you specialize in anything while you were there? Like, what was your favorite part about your culinary experience through school there?
Well, I specialize in food service management and my business degree. Okay. So I went in there with the intention of hopefully opening my own restaurant one day, but not knowing that that's what I wanted to do. That just sounded like that was the right path for me at the time.
Well, it's a good thing to have in your back burner as if you needed it, right?
Yeah, it was great. I learned a lot of accounting and things that I'll never remember, but
all the boring stuff that you do as a business owner.
Yeah, but I'm glad I did it. And I graduated in the 4 years and I came back home to Chicago.
You come back, this is when? Sorry, what time?
So I graduated in 2014.
2014, okay. So 2014, you make the move back to the city. And then what do you do there?
Well, my first job in the city, I dealt with a lot of sexual harassment. And I was there for a very short time. In the restaurant business, already? Okay. I mean, I had dealt with that already in school, but my first job coming home, I dealt with it and I got fired because they just didn't want to continue dealing with me.
Right.
And I took that as I was pretty angry about it. Yeah. So I used that as motivation to start working in fine dining. And I worked at my first Michelin restaurant and I worked in Michelin for 5 years.
That's amazing. Okay. I love that. I love that you took that negative and kind of turned it into a positive for yourself. So how was that? I mean, I know Michelin level is a whole nother level, right? How was that experience like the pressure and everything? Walk me through that. How was that like?
Well, I didn't really know what Michelin was before I applied to this Michelin job. I just knew it was a really nice restaurant and I just wanted to give it a shot. Okay. I just went into it and I learned to really like the structure and I liked the intensity and I liked the pressure. It's very cutthroat. It almost felt like you're in the army. No talking, stand up straight, do your work, clean your station, clean the kitchen, go home. My favorite part was the not talking. There's no music. We only talk if you're saying yes, chef, no, chef. If you have a question, you're whispering it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
Oh, I can imagine.
But there was a lot of parts of it that sucked. You're working really intensely, a lot of pressure, a lot of hours, and you're not getting paid a lot of money, and you're expected to work 12 to 15 hours a day.
And do what you're told.
Do what you're told, and most of the time we don't even clock in. We just need to get our work done because we didn't want to let our chefs down.
Right.
So we would come in earlier than we're supposed to and get our work done.
Crazy. I mean, that work ethic is next level then, right? It's
you would think. It's again, it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone, for sure.
No, I just enjoyed it. I don't know. It was.
How accurate is the movie Burnt? Have you seen it?
Pretty accurate.
Yeah? Okay. I just saw it a couple weeks ago and I was like, that reminded me of the scenes in the kitchen.
That's how we were treated in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
We have things thrown at us, pans, plates thrown at us.
If it's not perfection,
if it's not right, you're
thrown away.
Yep.
Whoa.
Your chef will come up behind you and tell you that you're a piece of shit and that you don't deserve this position, and that there are many other people that will happily take your place if you don't do this properly. And how
That's
dare we
insane.
waste this product? This product
right.
was someone's $100 and you just wasted that.
Just threw it away. Insane.
But I liked it.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, it's not for everyone, right?
It's not for everyone. It just pushed me to be better.
That's awesome. I love that. So you were there for 5 years?
I worked in a few restaurants and I did the fine dining world for 5 years. And after that, I worked for Boca Group at Momotaro downtown, for a Japanese restaurant.
Yes.
And then I worked as an executive in the Four Corners Taverns Group for a year and a half before the pandemic.
So that's like leading up to the pandemic, right? Okay. Then pandemic hits. What do you do? Did you get like furloughed? Are you still working in the industry? Like, how did the idea come about of like, hey, I want to do Hardbittenn. I want to do my own thing. Like,
well, we all got furloughed because we all lost our jobs, and that's just what happened. It's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was about a month into the pandemic and I just got really bored and I just started making pasta, and I had a very small social media following. There was nothing, everything of mine is private. And I just posted on social media and asked if people wanted to buy pasta. And they did.
Started pasta.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just raviolis.
Just regular. Okay.
Yeah. And people bought it.
No way.
And then they told their friends about it. And then their friends told their families and their other friends about it. And so it was like a little service I made. I was making pastas, raviolis, and sauces and delivering it. And
Interesting.
And it went well.
Okay.
And then I got really burnt out because I was staying up till 5 a.m. making these pastas. Like I had a lot of orders.
Wow. Okay.
And I know 100% that not a lot of them were perfect or right, but I just had so much to do. And, I had nothing better to do, but I got really burnt out. So I just started doing weekly dinners. So every week would just be a different dinner for 2, for 4, whatever. And that went well. And then I was afraid that I wasn't going to become relevant or stay relevant.
Okay.
So I started making pastries like Pop-Tarts, cinnamon rolls, cakes, and I still kept the weekly dinners going. Like there was never the intention of me starting a business.
It was just
I didn't do this because I was like, I'm going to start a business and it's going to be great. I did this because I had nothing better to do. I had no job to go back to because we all lost our jobs.
Right.
So what else was I going to do?
Just finding a way to kind of kill time instead.
Pretty much.
Make something of your time. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the early pandemic, my last position, they did ask me to come back. And if you remember, only takeout was allowed.
Right. Yeah.
They did ask me to come back to like work at one of their bars. And I was like, you're not utilizing me properly. Like, I'm just going to fry fries and fried food for you and then clean nonstop because it's going to be slow at this bar. I was like, that you're not utilizing me properly. Like with all of my experience, you're just going to put me over here. I was like, no, I will come back. Right. I was like, I will come back. Thank you. I will come back when my position is open again.
Yeah.
When you open that restaurant, I'll be there. And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. A few months later, I'm already going with my pasta, the dinners and the desserts. Like things are going well. And it was just, again, to pass time until I went back to a job if I had one.
Right.
So they did call me and they said that they weren't going to have me back because they didn't think I was team player enough.
Interesting.
And they were opening that restaurant just without me.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to come in the pandemic to come fry you some food for takeout orders.
Well, you knew your worth and you knew your value. And I think that that speaks highly of you. That's awesome. So at this time, like your business, or would you even call it a business at that point? It was kind of just
really
like
wasn't.
a thing you were doing, right?
Yeah, when I got that call, I was like, nah, fuck him. I was like, I'm going to keep doing with what I'm doing.
I love that.
And I was
that drive,
like,
that motivation.
And that's how it started. And then I just kept going. And then I unleashed, these Pop-Tarts and people saw them. And I was booked on orders 2 weeks ahead.
Is that like what blew you up? Like,
yeah.
Is that the...
Well, I mean, the pasta, it was the pasta. The dinners went well, but then it was my desserts. And I taught myself how to bake these cakes and to decorate them. I'm not a pastry chef.
You mentioned that. Yeah, it's not something that you do.
I'm not a pastry chef. I did not go to school to do pastry. I have worked as a pastry cook because people would leave and I would just step up and try to act like a leader and work the stations.
Okay.
But that's not where I'm strong at. Okay. I'm strong at like more meats and breaking down cows and pigs and things like that.
How did you make that? Like, what made you to be like, okay, I think I want to go into the pastries now then? Was it just demand or? I
saw someone on Instagram who made these Pop-Tarts like in Texas. Okay. And I thought that they looked cool and I thought that I could do them better.
Oh, love it.
So I was like, I will do that better.
You took on the challenge.
Yeah. So I just started making Pop-Tarts. And then within the first month of posting about them, we were in our first store.
Wow.
Yeah. And it went really well. And then it just kept growing from there. And around October of that year, we got asked to do this event. But they required your tax EIN numbers and all these things. And I was like, shit, I don't have that because I'm not a real business.
Oh, okay. So is that the moment that like, you're like, okay, this has to be now converted into an actual like entity? I need to.
Yes. I was making too much money at the time to just be pocketing it. And without saying what it was for, I could only say it was for naked photos for so long, you know, I was selling.
OnlyFans only works for so long,
I could
right?
I could only make up that lie for so long, which I did use. But it was that time when I really wanted to work that event. So I was like, oh my God, I have to become a business. Yeah. So I applied to become a business and got my numbers and got my everything I needed. And then all of a sudden I'm Hardbittenn LLC.
Now you are in business officially.
Yes. I was honestly too afraid to do it because I didn't think that this would last. I was like, I wanted the option where I could just turn it off and be like, all right, we're done. Like I'll go back to a job. This wasn't successful. This failed. I gave it a shot. I made some money. I'll, whatever. Yeah, but when, and that was the entire intention was that I was just going to stop it whenever I wanted to because it wasn't going to be successful or it wasn't going to go well.
It was just a thing to keep you busy, like you said, right?
Yeah. So we became an official business and I did that thing. It was like a bake sale.
Yeah.
And I put in a cake for a cake competition for it. It was a Halloween themed
right up
event.
Your alley.
Yeah, it was great. It was right up my alley. And they asked us to do this creepy, scary cake. And I put in my cake along with real pastry chefs, real cake artists, like people who've been doing this for years. And I did win first place.
No shit. Okay.
I did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What do they rate it on? Is it like creativity, taste? And is there like different?
They didn't try it because the cakes were out for like 4 or 5 days. Okay. So they just wanted it, just of how it looked.
Uniqueness,
like, did
creativity.
We fit all of the criteria? Yeah. And I obviously did. Other people kind of went a little out of what they were supposed to, but I did exactly what I was supposed to. And I did win first place and it was gratifying and it
for someone that's not like a pastry chef by trade to win a I mean, that must feel pretty inspiring, right?
Yeah, it was like, all right, maybe I'll keep going with this. And it was featured on the news and it was really exciting. And then a few months after that, we're still going well. I started doing private dinners. So I would come over to people's homes and cook for them. And we got
like 5-course meal type stuff. Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anything you'd want. I'll make you, I've done a lot of dinners. One of my favorites was the tapas one I've done where they had like 16 different little dishes. I've done fine dining dishes, courses. We've done Italian. I do a lot of steak menus.
Okay.
Lots of steak menus, like porterhouses and tomahawks and things like that. So, I'll do whatever you ask. And that, and that's what kind of kept pushing all this is like, all right, what else can I do? I'll take on more.
So you're always just like looking for the next challenge. Like you're trying to level yourself up every single time. I love that. What's your favorite dish to make? Like
I get asked that all of the time and I don't know.
You don't have one?
No, I don't. I cook a lot of food and I like to do a lot of different things all of the time. I want to be challenged. I still make a lot of pasta. Okay. I still make Pop-Tarts. Nice. I do have a team that just completely makes Pop-Tarts. That's their job. It's amazing that I don't have to touch them anymore.
To be at that level, to be like, okay, this is your dedicated position, making all the Pop-Tart. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was great. And after, about a year into Hardbittenn, we got our first big account.
Okay.
Our biggest account. And they asked for 788 Pop-Tarts on Monday and 788 on Wednesday.
Was this for like an event or something?
No, this was our first big store.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they wanted
partner store. They wanted to start carrying them.
Okay.
And it was great. But at the time I was still doing this out of my house, which
out of your own kitchen in your
and
house.
You're not supposed to, but when you get that, like you can with the licenses that I had, but when you get as big as I was about to get, you can no longer do it in your house.
It's just not sustainable, right?
It's not sustainable. And it, your oven doesn't fit the large sheet trays that you need. So I can only fit 30 Pop-Tarts in there at a time. And I needed, it was horrible. So I moved into my first kitchen right away. And I just asked.
So that orders will propel you to be like, okay, we need to grow. We outgrow this current space. I had
no choice. I had to.
Right.
So I the reason I got my first kitchen space, I was renting kitchen space from a food hall, and I saw someone in that food hall that I knew, not personally, but through social media, who started their own business just like I did during the pandemic. But I didn't like them. And so I was like, why are they in there? I bet I can get in there. So I called the food hall. I was like, hey, my name's Halee. Like, do you have space for me? I want to be in this food hall because I saw that guy in there. They're like, yeah, come in. And they let me work there.
Okay.
And I was there for 3 months, and it was amazing. And I'm so grateful for them for letting me use them.
Much more space than where you were.
Yeah, I had all the space I needed. They were so accommodating. And we were able to meet those orders.
Now, during this time, or is it still just you, or
it was just me? It was all me for the first year and a half. And then I brought in my first person to help me. And she was just a friend of mine, and she was just trying to pass some time. And she helped me for the first, 5 to 6 months. She was my first employee.
That's awesome.
And it was just the both of us just making these Pop-Tarts. And I was still doing the cakes and the dinners and the catering and the cinnamon rolls and everything else that I was doing for the other stores and everything else. Like
so
at this time,
this little side kind of project that kind of got you started to pass through time from the pandemic has been blowing up slowly and grew now to a business, and you have employees.
Yeah. And at the time, I mean,
did you think you were going to get did you ever consider that was going to be a possibility?
No, I was just trying to do this, hoping that I just wanted it to be successful, but I didn't know what that meant. I've never opened a business before. Sure, I've worked in kitchens. Sure, I've managed teams. I've
you've
bought
got
equipment, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So as scary as it wasn't the goal. The goal was just pass time, make money.
And it was working.
And just figure out what the hell to do.
Right.
At the time, we were already in 10 stores with our Pop-Tarts along.
Insane. Okay.
And after we got this big account, again, it kept blowing up. And then we outgrew that space. Okay. And then we moved into another space. And I had to buy all of my equipment, which was my first time buying all of my equipment. I bought a brand new oven, coolers, tables.
And that's not cheap by any means.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
I could not have done it alone.
I know, kitchen equipment is next level.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
No, I could not have done it alone. And I was, working in the space. Then I hired 3 people.
Wow.
I had a full team of just making Pop-Tarts. And then the holidays come. Then we're doing pies and cakes and still doing everything. And now at this point, we have moved into our biggest space yet. We're in a 2,400 square foot room.
Wow.
And it's just a production space. We don't have a storefront. That is not my goal. I was on the hunt for a restaurant or bakery for a year and a half. And I realized I don't need the stress in the overhead. I don't need to be worrying about
having a front facing retail.
And it's all right, your front person, your coffee person calls out. Guess who's working it? I am.
Yeah.
That's
another level. Yeah. That's
right.
Another
And
level
I don't want
stress.
the responsibility of any of it. I just want to produce and sell food and put it out there. I don't want the stress of any of that. I have too many things to be worrying about, like whether this, $500 cake order is going to be fine, instead of worrying about if I have someone to open the shop today.
The system and production that you have in place now works, and adding something like a storefront at retail, dealing with actual clientele, having a brick and mortar opening for business definitely adds to that.
Yeah. I don't want to. I realized I was looking at all these spaces. I was almost under contract with multiple places for rent. I almost bought a bakery.
Wow.
I was there, and then I was in that moment, and I'm like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't need it. I just want to produce. And again, I still have, some thoughts that, maybe this won't be successful. So if I have to open or, rent or buy a space, I have to have it for at least 5 years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't rent.
You're locked into that for sure. Yeah.
So I don't want it. I don't want it. I would rather just continue living year by year with this business and hoping that it goes well.
And going to that point of taking it kind of year by year as it's growing, production wise, obviously it's been increasing every single year that you've been doing it, right?
Yes. We have continued to thrive. We have continued to get big accounts, and there is a new grocery store that we're about to work with. And the reason we're about to be in it, the reason we're about to be in it though, which is funny. I was telling someone, I said, we need another big account. I think I'm going to reach out to this grocery store. And he says to me, you can't get in a grocery store. He says they require just too much, which they do.
Right.
Certifications and whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I go,
you got to label stuff and make it.
And I go, fuck you. So I reached out to them.
Make it happen.
And now we are in
I
their
love
store.
that. Oh my God. That's incredible. I mean, that's a huge milestone in itself, being able to accomplish that.
Thanks.
And yeah, was that ever like prior to that conversation or prior to having, like, was that ever in like your radar? Like, I want to have my product be distributed through like major like retailers. Was that ever?
I mean, yeah, it's always a little dream of this, like hoping that it blows up and you'll get into all the places that you want to be with it. But at the same time, I am, I don't expect a lot. You don't want to be in that position where, things are going well and then you lose it. True. So I'm more in the negative side of life. Hardbitten is another word for cynical.
Okay.
It's just how I am.
That was the inspiration for the...
Yes. And on top of that was spite. The reason I started this was because of spite. I've had so many people in my life who told me that I couldn't, I shouldn't, and that I wouldn't. And I was like, fuck you.
Look at you now. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how to do cakes. I'll figure it out. And I got treated so horribly in kitchens. I mean, just being a woman in the kitchen, it was terrible. Like,
I can imagine.
I've been told the worst things. I've been touched inappropriately. I've been groped. So many people have tried to kiss me in kitchens, and you're not really there to work. You're there to be told that you would look better in a dress. Oh my gosh. You're told that if you have sex with me, you can be my sous chef.
Wow, that's terrible.
So the main reason I continue with Hardbittenn is, of course, I want this business to be successful, but I don't want to go back.
Yeah, and it's your own. Like you get to make the rules.
Yep, it's my own job.
You get to decide how it goes.
And I get to, if I work 100 hours a week, it's my business. I don't care. But I don't want to go back to a kitchen because why would I? I really don't.
After seeing success here, why would you ever want to go back?
And I have a staff, and I tell them, I was like, you can go back to a kitchen if you want. Like, good for you. But here we have a safe space where we just produce.
I love it.
We have no stress of service, of the line.
Right. The pressure.
And I like the pressure. Don't get me wrong. Like, I do miss cooking.
Okay.
But I don't miss the people and the way I was treated and talked to and never respected. And you're in a room full of other chefs, and they're all men, and they're not, anytime they talk to you, they don't even make eye contact with you, even though that restaurant group is using most of your recipes. But they wouldn't talk to you or to me. They would talk to someone else who's a man.
Right.
So
that's terrible.
I don't want to go back. So it's really all about spite. I have
love
maintained this out of spite, and I know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit off air too. Is like, what's the driving force? What's the motivation, right? And sometimes that negative reinforcement or the negative motivation is its own factor to kind of make you want to do something. If somebody tells you, hey, you can't do this, if you're that type of person, you'll be like, watch me.
It is for me.
Let me make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Like my parents, they were super successful, but in the beginning they were very worried. They said, maybe this isn't, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, why don't you just go back? You'll have a stable job, stable income. And I was like, no.
You starting your own thing?
Of me starting this. They were just worried. And I said, no, I got to do it. I got to try. I feel like you were well equipped, especially with you saying that you'd have like the background in the business side as well, right? But not really. I've never had to open a restaurant before. I've never had to buy equipment. I've never had to do my actual like P&Ls and food costs and all these things. Like I've never had to really worry about it. Now it's all on me.
Yeah.
And I have taught myself how to do this. I have someone who helps me if I have serious questions. I have lawyers. I have everything that I need.
Amazing.
But it was hard. It really sucked. And what pisses me off is that people who aren't really in my life, or even if they are, who will reach out to me and be like, oh, I'm thinking of starting my own business. You want to meet for coffee so I can ask you some questions? No, you pay me. You pay me for what I have learned, for what I have figured out. Like someone reached out to me the other day and asked me about how to ship their products. Sure, I'll send you an invoice for my time and then we can set up a phone call. Do you think that you just get this information just because I figured it out and you haven't?
Yes, I love that mentality because there is value in experience. Like you went through it, like you went through the ringer to learn all that stuff, to like, have those failures, learn from it, grow from that. And there's value in that. I mean, that's why now, especially, the online course space, like all these e-commerce products, online courses, like these are people sharing their knowledge to you, but you're paying for it. So I love that. I love that. Amazing. Okay. So as of now, like where is the business? Like, where do you see it going in the next like 3 to 5 years? Like, what's your kind of long-term plan now that it's obviously still growing, it's still sustaining? How do you see it going in the future?
I mean, I want it to be successful, but I can't tell you where I hope to be in 3 to 5 years with it, because at this time, we're still playing it year by year. I'm afraid that it's going to fail, and I don't want to say, well, we're going to open 5 stores and then it doesn't go the way that you hope, and then I have to close them all, and then I still have to owe those leases, and I don't want that.
There's a lot of unknowns.
So honestly, we are playing it year by year, and I like that we're playing it year by year because I don't like structure very much.
Well, you get to kind of adapt too, right? Like, if the year's not going the way you plan, you get to kind of restart, refresh. You're not tied into something long term. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
no, I don't like
there's
structure.
benefit in that too.
And I know structure is great for a kitchen, but I don't like it. So I like the possibility of what are we going to do next month? Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I like it. It's comforting. It's fun. Instead of saying, well, I'm going to be here in 3 years, like that, I might, but like, what else will I do in those 3 years? Like, I don't want it to just, I'll open 5 stores. No.
Right. It's not predicted yet. Yeah.
Figure it out.
I love that. So in terms of like, I know you touched a little bit on like what's driving you and the kind of the whole theme behind your business. But if somebody were to kind of want to start either their own restaurant or their own catering company, like what's been the biggest obstacle for you to kind of turn that into reality? Well,
if I did not have the financial backing like I have, I would not have been able to do this. It's extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And I have help. I don't have loans. I don't owe any money to anybody.
Nice.
I have people in my life who support me into doing this.
Awesome.
This isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
And I am not someone who wants to be in debt to anything or anyone. So I don't recommend this really for anyone unless you have the financial backing to do it.
And you have a game plan for like making sure that actually takes off, right?
Yes.
It's like, so obviously in the real estate space, it's very similar. Like everybody's their own independent contractor and you don't get paid until you actually close a transaction. So you can go months without working with a client. And then if you don't have like a stable, savings aside kind of for a rainy day type situation, it can get very stressful and yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, you're talking commercial space, equipment. Yeah. All your logistics, your PO, all that. Yeah.
Food.
Right.
Like food has gone up so bad and it's so hard for us to keep our prices where they're at to, keep our business, but we're doing our best. Like it's hard. I don't recommend this. Like if it's great to say like, go and follow your dreams and do exactly what you love. And it's not like that.
We have to think of everything.
Right.
Yeah. Cause you see, and this is to every kind of entrepreneur, is like you see the success of what they present to you, but nobody shares the boring stuff or like the failures or everything that has to go on behind the scenes in order to make it work in the front. Yeah.
No, this was hard. I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to get a kitchen and all of my appliances. Right. Like I started from the very bottom of starting my business and I worked from zero and I worked my ass off and I kept moving from kitchen to kitchen, trying to find space. I worked in a kitchen space in a restaurant that was closed during the pandemic at El Che Bar, who the chef is, John Mannion is a wonderful chef, incredible chef actually. And he allowed me to just use his restaurant space when I started Hardbittenn. He was like, hey, you look like you need a space. The kitchen's closed. You can work there. You can work out of there. And it's
amazing having that connection.
Right. And without that help,
right,
would I have still been where I am at this moment? I don't know.
It would have been a lot harder, I'm sure.
It would have been harder. Yeah. He just let me use his kitchen space. Like he was just doing it to be kind.
That's amazing.
So you have to rely on people, of course, but you really have to make your own luck while you do this.
Of course. Yeah. That's the life of an entrepreneur, right? Like you know that every day's a risk, but you have to calculate yourself properly to make sure that it works out for you in the end.
Every day is a risk.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Thanks.
So you said your tarts it's what kind of gets you going, right? That's like the product that moves the most. And you do ship nationwide now, or?
So we just launched nationwide shipping with our health tart.
Okay, let's talk about that one a little bit. So we saw it on the website,
right?
And I'm curious because I don't do well with spicy. I'm not a spicy guy at all, but tell me what inspired you to do that, and how's it been going so far with it?
So I have seen the spicy chip, the hot chip challenge. And I was on social media a few weeks ago and I saw Philadelphia cream cheese started doing a spicy cream cheese. And I said, if they can do that, then I can do it. It was like, they do cream cheese, right? They do spicy cream cheese.
Yeah.
And then there's the hot chip challenge. And then there's, wing challenges and all these things. So why can't I do a Pop-Tart? The one thing that we are really good at. Why can't I do a spicy tart challenge?
It's incredible.
So what started it was when I saw the cream cheese and I was like, nope, we're going to do that.
That's awesome.
And I wanted to get our tarts nationwide, as fast as we could. And there was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
There's a lot of refunds for people. I still feel really bad for those people that got those orders and they didn't turn out the way that they were supposed to.
Was that logistics wise, like just not getting them in time or something? Yeah.
It's really hard to ship food. And you don't think that you need that much bubble wrap, but you really do.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
I mean, packages get mistreated. It's so crazy when they're out there. Yeah.
It is. So I wanted to just launch the spicy tart as like kind of an opening for us. And then once that goes well and I can make sure that it's well, then we will launch a dozen Pop-Tarts to ship. Yeah. And we're just about there. The spicy tart has gone really well. We've sold a lot. One person ordered a dozen of them. I have gotten an amazing feedback that this is the spiciest thing that people have ever had.
No way.
I have videos of photos of people just suffering. But if they say it tastes great, I mean, that's the point. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's going well and it's hell.
Yeah. How do you eat them often or?
No, I do not eat spicy foods. I cannot handle it. I grew up in a household with not a lot of spice. So I grew up thinking mustard was spicy. Yeah, as a kid, because you're just a kid. And no, I don't. But I have people that are in my kitchen that will try and have given me like, oh, it's not spicy enough. All right.
Make it spicier.
Let's make it spicier.
Crank it up.
Yep. So we're there. The product is there. It's 100% good to go.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you can pick it up or you can get it shipped to your house.
Okay. So on that note, I mean, where can people find, like if they want to do either the challenge or just get some more information on you, your business, maybe cater from you, like where is the best place for people to find you?
Well, my Instagram is where I show all of my work.
Okay.
Which is Instagram at Eat Hardbittenn.
Eat Hardbittenn. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, if you just want to see, like I have a lot of people look on there for inspiration for their cakes and their ideas, which is great. But through my website is the best way to contact me, to order the spicy tart, to ask about catering, your cakes. That's where we do all of our ordering from. And it's hardbittenn with 2Ns.com.
Hardbittenn, 2Ns at the end.com. Okay. And you do just about anything with food, right?
And everything.
Anything and everything.
And if I can't do it, then I will admit
You'll
that
find a way?
I'll figure it out or I will send you to someone who can. But I've had my fair share of declining orders just because you have to sometimes.
Is it just the outrageous stuff or just stuff that you just feel it's out of your comfort zone or?
Both.
A little bit of both?
Sometimes people are really difficult. And I do reserve the right. I know. And I do reserve the right to not work with you if I choose without
100%.
any questions asked.
100%. I agree.
But some people don't take it that way and get a little offended. So it's motivated me to just make more contracts, to up my my deposits, things like that.
Okay. Awesome. Last question before I let you go here. In regards to like, let's say a cake, like somebody's ordering like a wedding cake. How far in advance do they have to like get you? Because I assume you're probably very busy, very like you got a bunch of orders that you have to fulfill. Like,
well, wedding cakes. Like? I mean, people normally order wedding cakes like months in advance.
Yeah, that's true.
You're getting
they
married.
Know they're getting married. There's a date. There's a deadline. Yeah.
So wedding cakes are a little different.
Okay.
But regular cakes, birthday cakes, anniversaries, any cakes, I just need a week.
Okay.
Like I try to be accommodating. I want you to order for me. And I want you, to be at that moment where you're like, oh my God, I forgot to order that cake. Like I'll do it. Just give me 7 days because it takes time for me to order things and get it shipped. Yeah. But if you need a cake like tomorrow, I can do it.
Wow.
And I will do it.
But
you have to pay for it.
Oh, that's a premium right there for sure.
You're like, I forgot my cake for my so-and-so's birthday and I need it.
It'll cost you.
I need it tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Great. But you have to pay for it. And people do.
That's great. Well, I I always say like the product has to speak for itself. So if you're giving out a good product, I mean, why wouldn't they pay, right? So
Yeah, I appreciate
that's
it.
amazing.
Your cakes are good.
Yeah, I can't wait to try them. I think I'm going to order one soon. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today for setting up this interview. I think we learned a lot about your business. I see nothing but great stuff in your future. I don't know if I'll try the tart, but maybe I'm up for the challenge. Who knows? But thank you again for taking the time. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode. See ya.